Today we're going to be looking at the Panzer IV-H and how it stacks up against Allied late and medium tanks. A tank of choice for most German players in team games, it can take out late medium Allied tanks quite well. But how does it really stack up? Panzer H versus the Sherman 76. Gone are the days where the Sherman 76 was a hard counter as in Assault Squad 1. You may have noticed this, and it definitely shows in the stats as well. For a cheaper price of 600 MP, you get a better gun. Also better hull armor at 80, whereas the Sherman does have 64, but it is sloped. At approximately 130 range, both the tank's maximum range, the Sherman 76 cannot penetrate the Panzer H bottom hull, but it can take out the turret. Be aware when you're shooting the 76, the gun kind of recoils upwards, so when you shoot, it usually curves up. The trick is when fighting a Panzer H is to aim just below the turret so you can penetrate the weak spot where it is 50mm of armor, with your 59mm of penetration at 130 range. After you've taken out the turret or gun, you can go in for the kill at about 110 range. On paper, the Panzer H can penetrate the 76 at maximum range. At 130 range, its penetration is 71, and the Sherman 76 frontal armor is 64. But on tests, this is not the case. It just cannot do it. After maybe 20 shots or so, it could not penetrate. So you do have to kind of close in the gap at around 120 to 110 range to do the kill, and this makes it a 50-50 play. And with the Panzer H being the cheaper one, and also with the 76 gun prone to crew injuring, I think the Panzer H is more worth it and more effective in these closer range combat scenarios. Without considering price, there is really no clear winner here. In my opinion, it's really a 50-50 play, but considering the Sherman 76 is 100 MP more, I'd say the Panzer H is more worth it. The Sherman does sport more infantry support capabilities with a 50 cal, but at this stage of the game, you'll have your own specialised infantry support vehicle for this situation. When fighting the 76 though, you do have to close the gap at around 120 to 110 range, then it's anyone's game, favouring the Panzer H in my opinion. And as the 76, your best chance is to turret the H and stay at maximum range. But really it's a 50-50 in most scenarios on who will win this battle. Versus the UK, the Achilles 1C is a real contender to take out the H. With a 76mm MKV, this 17-pounder gun is a big threat. At 650 MP, it's quite a bargain to take out tanks. The Achilles with the 17-pounder gun is well equipped to take out the Panzer H frontal hull of 80mm. At just below 140 range, it can take out a H. It is also quite accurate. There isn't really an accuracy stat I can compare to, but from experience I know it is more accurate than the USA guns. As you can see, it is taking out the Panzer H quite easily from about 130 range. Also note, the Panzer H can of course take out the Achilles from any range because it's a tank destroyer with really light armor. On a tank comparison basis, I can't really compare which is the better tank. The Achilles is definitely better at killing tanks because it's a tank destroyer and does have longer range, but the H is also good at other things, such as being able to withstand hits and support your infantry in an assault. But in a 1v1 situation and considering price, I'll take the Achilles any day because I'll be able to come in, shoot at the Panzer H and quite comfortably take it out in one shot before it even notices me on the field. The Slugger versus the H. The gun is definitely a better one, but it lacks in everything else except the range. The M36 Slugger is also very expensive at 850 MP. It's the same gun as the Pershing. The Slugger will be able to outrange the Panzer H, but does need to get closer than its maximum 140 to 135 or so range to take it out. It only has a penetration of 73 at 140 range, which is not enough to penetrate the 80mm of armor. So it does have to work like the 76 to take out the turret or main gun before it approaches for the kill. But it can kill the H at a closer range at about 130 or so. But it's a lot more susceptible to the Panzer H's fire due to its really bad armor. In a 1v1 scenario, I'll prefer the Panzer H to the Slugger, even if they were similarly priced. The reason is, the Slugger needs to get into killing range of the H for it to fight, and the Slugger gun has a slower reload and is much more inaccurate than the Panzer IV-H. If you compare this to Achilles, which is more accurate and has even more penetration than the Slugger, and costs a lot less, the Slugger is a complete waste of crap. In my opinion, even the 76 does better than the Slugger versus the H. As the Soviets, you don't really have too many tanks available at the similar price range to take at the H. Really the only one is the T-34-85 at that price range. It has a better gun, but it lacks in pretty much all other areas other than having sloped armor, which allows it to bounce a lot more shots. Really, at maximum range, it's similar to the Battle versus the 76, as you do need to take at the turret or the main gun before you close in for the kill, which you can do and the H can't fight back. But to penetrate it in the hull, you need to go closer where you're also susceptible to the H's fire, and it really becomes a 50-50 play. Most of the time though, the T-34-85 will win due to its ability to get some bouncy shots if you angle it right. So which tank is better? I'd say the Panzer IV H at 600 MP, but if you're not considering price, I'd say the T-34-85 is. The reason is, in a 1v1 scenario, the T-34-85 will win most of the time due to the Panzer H bouncing the shots off the angled slope. The UK team is quite versatile with the amount of options to counter the Panzer H with. Other than the 17-pounder type variety, they do have the Comet IA-34, which has great armor and also a good gun that can go toe-to-toe with the Panzer H. At maximum range, both these tanks cannot really take out each other. Yet again, of course, the Panzer H's turret is susceptible to the Comet's 77mm gun. But coming closer, the Comet can penetrate the H's 80mm hull at about 120 range. On the other side, the Panzer H can penetrate the Comet at about 110 range. In practical scenarios in 1v1s, it really doesn't matter. The big thing that matters is the Panzer H's weak turret. Then when you get into a fight at closer range, it's all 50-50. So the H still stands the distance even with a tank that is more expensive at 750 MP compared to the H's 600 MP. So which one would I prefer in a 1v1 duel? I'll definitely prefer the Comet, because it does have that 10 range gap where it can survive extra, and also it can take out the H from afar by targeting the H's turret. I'd say it's more of a choice for the UK team whether to buy a Comet or a 17-pounder type gun. But remember, the Comet does have lower range, but also the Comet does have more armor, so you can kind of use it more aggressively. I'd prefer the Achilles, but really I can see why you would like both of them. But again, overall, I'd say in this battle the H wins at 150 MP cheaper. Okay, Panzer H, very good tank at a decent price at 600 MP. What can go really wrong? It can take out a lot of tanks that are more expensive than them. There's also other tanks from other nations that can't really take it out, such as USA. They struggle to go against the Panzer H, they have to overinvest. Soviets, they can take out the Panzer H but have to invest a bit more to take it out with the T-34-85. UK probably the only nation which has decent options to take out the Panzer H, with the Comet being quite a secure kill, the Achilles also being quite a secure kill. So really, as I think USA, you still do need to pressure a lot to make the enemy not get a H, to be honest, because anything upwards you're overinvesting. Soviets, pretty much the same, but not as bad as USA. But yep, kind of proves to me that the H is great, and USA need to rush, prevent the H coming on the field.